My name is June Robbins. June Robbins is Robbins. I'm 90 years of age. Is that right? Thank you. The United States was a country who wanted to keep out of war. War was raging in Europe. Europe was on fire. We were shipping steel to Japan, and we got it back December the 7th. And the United States changed after that. Our young men went off to war right out of high school, 15 years old. They left home, lied about their age, and they got into the service. Boys and girls were dating in groups, not singles. We would get together, all the girls would get together, form a little club so that we could go to each other's homes one day a week and dance with boys. And the parents would provide pretzels and peanuts and soda. And we would get out the old Victrola, wind up, and dance to the music. That's where I met my husband-to-be. I had a girlfriend who was in love with a new boy every week, and she was in love with one Melvin Robbins. He had driven me home several times from these get-together, and he never looked at me. This one time, he came up to the apartment with my girlfriend and the new boyfriend, took one look at me, cornered me, kissed me on the mouth, and said, "I'm going to marry you someday." He was 17, I was 15 and a half. I thought he was slightly crazy, but he kept showing up every weekend. I sort of kind of got used to him. And from then on, it's a real love story. But the moment he finished high school, he enlisted in the Navy. Well, I went to the enlistment station in Philadelphia, and there he was inducted into the service of the United States Navy. So it was 42 or 43. His buddy and I saw him, and the whole group of us standing there crying, except his boyfriend, who was holding my hand and patting me. Don't cry, he'll be fine. He would write me long letters almost every day. And I was writing letters to all the boys at that point. There was a crash at the base where he was stationed. I heard about the crash on radio, and I told the gals that I was working with at the Navy Yard that there's a crash. Immediately after work, the whole group of women in our department took me to Philadelphia, to the Catholic Church right off Market Street, 13th and Market, so that we could all say prayers. I don't know how many Catholics or Protestants or Jews there were, but we all went in and said our prayers, and all the gals lit candles for him. The following day, I found that he was okay. He saw the crash, and he was part of the group that pulled the bodies out of the crash. He was still in the service at the end of the war. My drafting teacher gave me a crash course. He called the Navy Yard and sent a letter with me, and I was accepted immediately. He asked me right through. They talked to me, and they knew that I knew what I was getting ready to do. So they gave me a seat immediately with this tremendous drawing board, and I put my tools in the drawer, and they told me what to do, and I did it, and that was fine. And I was very fortunate that two young men took one look at me and said, "Oh my God, a kid. We have to protect her," during the Christmas party. And they came over to me and said, "June, it's time for you to go home." I said, "But there's a party." And they said, "June, it's not for you. Go home." Well, I saw all of these men dead drunk. And I remember going to to a party with my parents and sleeping on 2 chairs, a drunk at the party. He tried to molest me. And boy, did I see my mother come to life. I kicked and hollered and kicked my way out of the man's arms. And he picked me up out of the chair as I was sleeping. My father would have beat him to death. My mother would have beat him to death. The 2 young men said, "June, go home." And I went home. No. No, we were so busy working. There was no conversation about anything. All of the women had a different story to tell. Loose lips sinks ships. Although we had our baseball team, softball team at the Navy Yard, and our bowling team, somebody came out with Rosie the Riveter posters showing oversexed looking females with big chests, tiny little waists, sexy looking legs, holding some sort of tool up in the air. And it was idiotic. None of us looked like that. I think we were very fortunate when somebody came out with Rosie the Riveter that looked like she could work hard and knew exactly what she was doing. During the war, we pulled together to get things done. And that was it. We wanted our young men back again. Uncle Sam needs you. We took it personally, every one of us. We figured that more than 120 million women and girls took the place of an equal number of young men and boys. We took their places. We built ships. We clothed them. We fed them. Posters were out there. And what are you doing for the war effort? We lost our butter. We had rationing of almost everything that went overseas with our young men. The kids collected scrap metal. Women and girls did plane watches and coastal watchers and checked your windows to make sure that your curtains were down, because God only knows the Nazis can drop in out of the sky and kill us all in our sleep. And the men who did not go to war taught their women how to defend themselves with karate, jiu-jitsu. It was jiu-jitsu then. How to shoot a gun. Yeah, I'm still a good shot. Oh, almost everybody got fired. We took care of our young men who were injured. We learned independence when the Navy Yard closed. My mother, she joined the other women in this tremendous hangar, and the men whistled and called and clucked at them, called them, "Here comes a little chicken," and clucked, clucked, clucked. And she said, "I want you to know this little chicken was able to handle anything they gave us to do and do well." And as far as the Rosies were concerned, we were kind of forgotten. We did our job to help win a war. Well, I think I had enough of the men's world, is the way I put it. And I was determined to do something different and enjoy it. No, but we demanded it. If you don't ask for it, if you don't demand it, you're not going to get it. But I did learn that early in life. In high school, there was a comment made, I really shouldn't say it on camera. And I developed a stare that could kill any young man that made an improper remark or was too forward. I would freeze him to death. Immediately after the war,